What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Mets Central. This is Mets Fan Reaction Game 135, where the New York Mets defeat the Chicago White Sox by a score of 5-1. Before we get into the post-game recap, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe on the channel. We greatly appreciate you guys' support, and we want to keep feeding you guys content throughout the rest of the regular season. Also, make sure to turn on post notifications as well to let you know anytime we upload a video or go live on the channel. But yeah, let's get into the post-game recap. And look, the Mets tonight, they did what they had to do. They got off on the right foot in this three-game set, and they beat the White Sox tonight. And listen, we said before going into the series that it was mandatory. The Mets had to sweep the White Sox no matter what. Now, look, they took the first game. They're one-third of the way there, but they still got two more games to go. So, listen, this team right now, they just got to focus. They got to calm down. They just got to take each game at a time, each out at a time. But you got off on the right foot. And listen, the big question going into this game today was Tyler McGill. And, a lot of people, including me, and including most of the fan base, they have lost faith in Tyler McGill. And for good reason, because this is a guy who's been given many opportunities since he first came up here in 2021. Looked good initially, but after that injury he suffered midway through the 2022 season, this is a guy that really hasn't looked the same. And he's been given opportunity after opportunity, and he hasn't been able to take advantage of it. Now, look, if Tyler McGill was ever going to take an advantage, was ever going to take advantage of an opportunity, it had to be today because the Mets put him into a very favorable situation. Because if you guys recall, McGill was called up because of the Paul Blackburn injury, and if you guys also recall, the Mets had an off day in between the Padres series and the Diamondback series, and that off day allowed them to switch Peterson and McGill starts so Peterson could start the last game of the Diamondback series and would allow McGill to get the first game of the White Sox series, which is the much easier opponent for Tyler McGill. So he was handed an opportunity on a silver platter, and he had to take it. And listen, gotta give him credit here because while he wasn't exactly great today, wasn't bad either. He was solid. He did what he had to do. He gave you 5 1/3 innings. He got some strikeouts, got out of some jams, especially in the first and second inning where it looked like it could have gone bad very quickly for McGill. But like I said, credit to him. Turning it to the offense side, listen, would you like to see more than 5 runs scored against the White Sox? Sure, but listen, the Mets offense did what they had to do tonight. And listen, when you score 5 runs against the White Sox, like most of the time, you should be able to win. But, they got some much timely hitting today. You got a big 2-run home run from JD Martinez in the third inning. Also, you got a big RBI double from Jesse Winker in that same inning. So the offense did what they had to do. You also got a nice sacrifice fly from Mark Fiennes in the ninth inning to extend their lead to a 5-1 lead. And then the bullpen as well was solid today. The bullpen was solid. So major credit to the whole team around. But like I said, they're 1/3 of the way there. You got the first one. You're off. You got off on the right foot today with this win. But you got to sweep them. You got to sweep them. I mean, this is a White Sox team, right? It's a glorified minor league team, right? Like this is a team that is going to be. It's on pace to be the worst team in modern day history in Major League Baseball. They're going to be worse than the 1962 Mets, and that's saying a lot. But credit to the Mets today. They played well, and they got a deserved win. So anyway, guys, let's get into the post-game recap. Tyler McGill was on the mound for the Mets, like I mentioned, and you had Jonathan Cannon on the mound for the Chicago White Sox. Starting off with the game, Francisco Lindor leading off for the Mets. He would strike out swinging. Brandon Nimmo would then ground out to Gavin Sheets. Mark Fiennes would then hit a single. And then Pete Alonso would ground out to Miguel Vargas to end the inning. Bottom of the first, a shaky start for Tyler McGill as he would walk Nicky Lopez. He would get Luis Robert to ground out, so Nicky Lopez would move over to second base. Andrew Benintendi would then hit a double, so that would bring home a run, 1-0 White Sox. Then Andrew Vaughn would ground out, and Gavin Sheets would pop out the Mark Fiennes to end the inning. So not a great first inning there for Tyler McGill as he would give up an early lead. Then top of the second, Jesse Winker would lead off with a single. JD Martinez would then hit a single. Jeff Mead would then walk. So bases loaded for the Mets. Have to take advantage of this opportunity, and they sort of did because on the very next at bat, Francisco Alvarez would strike out swinging again on a low and away slider. Not great there by Alvy. Then Harrison Bader looked like he grounded out into an inning end double play. Thankfully, the Mets would challenge it. The call at first base was overturned, so So Jesse Winker will come in to score to tie the game up at 1-1. Mets couldn't get any more runs though, as Francisco Lindor ground out to Gavin Sheets. Bottom of the second, Corey Lee would single. Then Dominic Fletcher would be hit by a pitch, so first and second for the White Sox with nobody out. Once again, McGill in a jam. He would then strike out Miguel Vargas. He would get Jacob Amaya to line out. Nicky Lopez would then single, so bases loaded with 2 outs. Thankfully, though, he would get Luis Robert to line out sharply to Harrison Bader in center field. So McGill getting out of another jam, which could have gone terribly for him. Then moving on to the top of the third, Brandon Nimmo would fly out to Andrew Benintendi left. Mark Vientos would pop out to Gavin Sheets. So it looked like, it would be a quiet inning for the Mets, but this is where they would take off as Pete Alonso would then walk. And what's the one rule in baseball? You never want to walk a guy with 2 outs. And it came back to bite the White Sox in the ass, as Jesse Winker would hit a double and he would bring in Pete Alonso. So he would put the Mets up 2-1. Then next batter, JD Martinez comes up to the plate and he hits a 2-run home run into left field to put the Mets up 4-1. Jeff McNeil would then pop out to Miguel Vargas to end the inning. So a much needed inning for the Mets, and they give McGill a nice little cushion, a nice 3-run lead. And credit to McGill because he would respond by shutting down the White Sox. Moving on to the bottom of the third, Andrew Benintendi would hit a single, but that would be it for the White Sox that inning, as McGill would then get Andrew Vaughn to ground out, Gavin Sheets would strike out, and Corey Lee would strike out to end the inning. Top of the fourth, Francisco Alvarez would pop out to Nicky Lopez. Harrison Bader would then pop out to Nicky Lopez. Francisco Lindor would then walk, and Brandon Nimmo would fly out to Dominic Fletcher to end the inning. Bottom of the fourth, Dominic Fletcher would hit a ground out. He would ground out sharply to Francisco Lindor. Miguel Vargas would then line out to Francisco Lindor. A nice snag there by Lindor to make it 2 outs. Then Jacob Amaya would ground out to Mark Vientos to end the inning. Moving on to the top of the fifth, Mark Vientos would walk. Pete Alonso would strike out, and Jesse Winker would hit into an inning-ending double play. Then moving on to the bottom of the fifth, a quick 1-2-3 inning for Tyler McGill, as he would get Nicky Lopez to strike out swinging, Luis Robert would strike out swinging, and Andrew Benintendi would strike out the inning. So that's something you like to see from McGill, a nice 1-2-3 inning, and he also struck out the side as well. Then moving on to the top of the sixth, a pitching change for the White Sox, as Touki Toussaint will come in to replace Jonathan Cannon. He would strike out JD Martinez. Jeff McNeil would walk. Francisco Alvarez would hit a single. So first and second for the Mets with 1 out. Unfortunately, though, they were unable to bring in anybody, as Harrison Bader would ground into an inning-ending double play. Then moving on to the top of the sixth, Andrew Vaughn would fly out to Jesse Winker. Gavin Sheets would then hit a single, and then the Mets would make a pitching change, as Adam Ottavino would come in to replace Tyler McGill. And listen, like I said, credit to McGill. Take a look at his final line score today: 5 1/3 inning, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. His season ERA now sits at a 4.82. So overall, like I said, a nice stat line for McGill. He gave you some length, 5 1/3. That's what you like to see. Gave up 5 hits, got into some trouble, was thankfully able to maneuver around that trouble. And listen, the 2 things that you really like to see is the 1 walk and the 6 strikeouts. So it looked like that, he had most control of the strike zone, which is something that you like to see for Tyler McGill. But now getting back to the post-game recap, let's see, find my thing. So Adam Ottavino comes in to replace Tyler McGill. He'll get Corey Lee to strike out swinging, and then Dominic Fletcher will be called on strikes to end the inning. Moving on to the top of the seventh, Lindor fly out to Luis Robert. Brandon Nimmo would then fly out, and Mark Vientos will ground out to end the inning. Bottom of the seventh, Reed Garrett comes in to replace Adam Ottavino. Nice 1-2-3 inning for Reed Garrett, as he'd get Miguel Vargas to fly out to center field. Jacob Amaya would strike out, and Nicky Lopez would ground out to Jeff McNeil to end the inning. Then top of the eighth, Pete Alonso would strike out swinging. Jesse Winker would hit a single. Offensive substitution, as Tyrone Taylor would come in to pinch run for Jesse Winker. JD Martinez would strike out. Jeff McNeil would single. Unfortunately, though, Mets were unable to cash in, as Francisco Lindor would fly out to Andrew Benintendi to end the inning. So moving on to the bottom of the eighth, Tyrone Taylor would remain in the game in right field, and Phil Maton would come in to replace Reed Garrett. And the first pitch that Phil Maton throws, a really nice defensive play by Tyrone Taylor, similar to the one that Jeff McNeil made in 2019 in that right field corner. Robert hit what looked like to be a foul ball, but Tyrone Taylor was able to sprint over to it, get it, jump into the netting, and he was able to get the out. White Sox would challenge the play, but the call will be upheld, and so that'll be an out. So credit to Tyrone Taylor because he's made some really good defensive plays this year, but that one was probably, I mean, I'm not sure which one was the best, but probably just off the top of my head right now, I would say that was probably the best defensive play he's made all year. So credit to him. Andrew Benintendi would then pop out, and Andrew Vaughn strike out the inning. Top of the ninth, Harrison Bader would ground out. Francisco Lindor then hit a double. Brandon Nimmo would then hit a single. Lindor would move over to third base. Then Mark Fiennes would hit a sac fly to bring in Lindor. So 5-1 Mets. Pete Alonso would then ground out to end the inning. Then bottom of the ninth, Edwin Diaz comes in to replace Phil Maton. And I saw a lot of people confused about why Mendy brought in Edwin Diaz. And I kind of questioned a little bit too, but after thinking about it, like, it does make sense to me. It does make sense to me because look, if you guys recall to during the Padres series, Gary Cohen did mention that Edwin Diaz, that he gets into a rhythm when his pitching appearances are very close to one another. So he works a third straight day. He's able to now find that rhythm. Also, I think they did it just to build up some confidence in him. He was able to get the save yesterday against the Diamondbacks, and today, you put him into an opportunity against a poor lineup. You're like, Edwin, go out there, go strike some guys out, go build your confidence, and that's what he did. And that's what Edwin Diaz did today because he would strike out Gavin Sheets, he would strike out Corey Lee, and then he would get Dominic Fletcher to fly out to end the game. So yeah, like I mentioned at the start of the video, good solid win for the Mets. You got good pitching from both McGill as the starter, and you got good pitching from your bullpen, and you got some good timely hits from your offense. But yeah, you're 1/3 of the way there in this series. You still got 2 more wins. And tomorrow, Saturday game, you got, again, Mets White Sox, 7:10 p.m. start tomorrow. You got Jose Quintana on the mound for the Mets, and you got Martin on the mound for the White Sox. So also with the win, that improves the Mets record to 71-64. Unfortunately, the Braves did beat the Phillies today, so Mets were unable to make up ground, so they still stay put at 3 games back of the Atlanta Braves. But look, the Mets just got to keep on doing what they're doing and just beat the White Sox and beat the poor teams and just stay within striking distance of the Atlanta Braves. That's really all the Mets can do at this point because they can't do nothing against the Braves until they have that series against them late in September. But like I said, for the Mets, just keep on winning your games. That's all you can do, and that's all you're in control of. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the post-game recap. Like I said, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Also, turn on post notifications as well to let you know anytime we upload a video or we're live on the channel. But yeah, that's it. See you guys tomorrow for the post-game recap. Peace out, baby. Let's go, Mets.